Hey there, I got a great video for today. It's another one with Vera and Gordon of 10 Mothers Farm. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the last video, I'll put a link up here for you to check out. It was a full tour and interview with them and them telling their story and everything they have going on the farm. Just an awesome farm and awesome people and just a really nice video, so make sure you check that video out. You can watch either of these videos first, it doesn't really matter, but definitely get a chance, go check that out. Before I get into the video for today, I just want to talk about a couple of things. I am starting to visit more farms and share their stories with you guys, and really focusing on the farmer story and also, you know, the layout of the farm and a lot of other cool stuff that I can share with you guys. And one of the main reasons for that is when I started the channel, and even now, I don't see a lot of content about farms in the Southeast. And you know what I mean by that is really in-depth content, not just stuff people are sharing on Instagram, but really getting into the farmer stories and getting into be able to see people's farms and what they're doing there. And it's just awesome. And I think because I've been promoting sharing from the beginning, really sharing knowledge and information and experience to help all of you guys out there. And if it's just growing food for your family in your backyard, or maybe you're thinking about starting a small farm, or maybe you have a farm and you're looking for other ideas and ways to do things, or maybe you're just trying to educate yourself a little bit more so that you can make better decisions about food or maybe support local farmers. So I will be sharing more information like that. I will also be updating you about my farm here. So that's not going to go away, but I am going to be spending quite a bit of time traveling to other farms as much as I can. It is expensive and it does take a lot of time, but I think it's important to share people's stories. So with that in mind, I will be also traveling the day of this video coming out. I'll be going to Rough Draft Farmstead at Farmer Jesse's place in Kentucky for the No-Till Growers Workshop. So I'll try to shoot as much content as I can for you guys and get that out. I also visited Elliot Seldner of Fair Share Farm just outside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina this week, or last week, and I'll get some of that content out for you guys too. But let's get into the video for today. And it's another video with Vera and Gordon, and they talk about how they had to dig a new well on their property when they started and the struggles they had with that. And man, they had a lot of struggles, but there was a lot of good takeaways, and it's just an experience that they wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoy.
Right, I'm Vera.
I'm Gordon.
And we're here at 10 Mothers Farm. We're in Cedar Grove, North Carolina, which is outside of Hillsborough, which is outside of Durham and Chapel Hill. And we're gonna talk a little bit about wells, because you cannot grow food without a lot of water, it turns out. So when we bought this land, it was totally bare. There was no water out here. When we were looking for land, we were really hoping to find land that already had a well or a pond for irrigating, but we did not find that land. We found this beautiful land. And so we knew we had to dig a well, and this was last winter, which was one of the wettest winters on record. And I guess to back up for those of you that are new to the whole well thing, digging a well is a huge gamble, because you don't know where you should dig your well and you're paying by the foot. And so essentially...
So how do you pick where to dig?
Great question, Josh. So there is not, for small, you know, like for individuals like us, there is not a scientific way to figure out where to dig.
Are you talking about the guy that walks around with the two metal things?
Yes.
That's how we find water?
That's legit?
It's called, around here, people call it witching, people call it dowsing. And people have done it for hundreds of years, and it's totally not scientific, but it's either you have your well doused or you just pick a random spot.
So what'd you guys do for this well?
Well, so we fortunately had a friend who was a farmer who was a dowser and had a really good track record. She had dowsed already 4 fantastic wells. So we felt like, okay, great, have her come out, find us a good well spot. She found some well spots that were all the way back by the woods, and we were excited to dig there, but it was so wet last winter that the well drilling rig refused to come out and drive over the grass because he thought his rig was gonna get stuck. So we thought, okay, we had put in a driveway. We knew we needed to try to see if there was a spot that was close to the driveway, because it was the only way we were gonna get the well dug in time. And if we didn't get it dug, you know, in January, February, it wasn't gonna be set up in time for when we need to start planting crops for our CSA. So we had our friend come back out. She doused close to the driveway. She felt like, okay, here's a spot that's still gonna work. So we said, great, that's where we'll dig the well. Rig comes out, it's big well drilling day, we're super excited. Start digging, 100 feet we don't have any water, 300 feet we don't have any water, 500 feet we don't have any water, 600 feet we have 1.5 gallons, And that's as far as we're willing to go because you're paying by the foot, and it's really expensive at that point.
The guys are literally like giving you updates and asking like, do you want to keep going?
You're
And
like,
in that moment, you have to decide.
Do I want to spend another $1,000? I don't know. Will I get water? Will I not? The well drilling rig guy, the owner, takes pity on us. He says, you know what? I really wish I'd found you water. I'm going to pay for the last 120 feet. He goes to 720 feet. He doesn't find any more water. And we have a well that is incredibly expensive and not enough to meet our needs.
That's enough for like a house, but
Yeah.
definitely not for a farm.
Not even close to the
So it was
farm.
pretty heartbreaking. I mean, everything was going beautifully setting up the farm, and then we don't have enough water.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of money on the well. But we went ahead and set it up with these large tanks to kind of help with giving it some more capacity.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically these are pressurized tanks here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've
for
got-
people that don't know about wells, I mean, I have a well in my house, but you know, for most people that don't know about this, so you have a pump down there that's pressurizing these tanks.
The pump is down there is drawing water up. These tanks here are pressurizing the water to send it out when you need to use it.
Okay.
This is kind of these are big tanks and 2 tanks, which we did so that we would have the capacity to fill like a large tank of water for dunking lettuce without, you know, basically the well having to kick on and tire itself out and so on. So this is kind of overbuilt, honestly. But when we'd first dug it, this was all the water we had. And so we were like, okay, let's try to maximize our ability with this, you know, not very good well to use it for our needs. And we put a 5 gallon a minute pump in there, even though it only yields 1.5 gallons. So what that means is that when we pump out of this well, we're drawing down. So we run the risk of running it dry.
Yeah.
So it has an automatic switch.
Yeah, so we had to install a low pressure shutoff that if it gets too low and the it loses pressure, then it shuts the system off so the pump doesn't burn out.
Okay. And so what's this water source being used for mainly? Is it mainly for your wash pack?
Honestly, at this point, this well is not turned on.
This is going to be for our house, so it won't be a complete waste.
Okay.
But-
oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's because
That's a tough way to start the farm building.
I mean,
It
this
was.
is just I mean, we know other folks around here who've had the same experience. In this, I mean, it varies a lot. Those of you who are watching from different parts of the country, I think there are parts of the country where like you have no problem hitting a lot of water, but in the Piedmont of North Carolina, apparently this is pretty common.
Just a gamble.
Okay, so you guys dug another well.
Well, first I just want to say that, you know, running a pump requires electricity, and we didn't have electricity hooked up out here yet. And this was like getting to be early spring,
We
and
were
we had
planting the high
planted,
tunnels, yeah.
and we needed water, and the electricity was supposed to be hooked up. So there was a period of time in which we were hauling water in buckets from the creek
Which
that
is
is
like 700
through
feet
the
that way.
woods.
Okay. So how was getting electricity out here? Was that a challenge too?
It was, I mean, the nice thing is that because we're a business and probably will use a lot of electricity, and because we have our close neighbors, the power company paid to install the line, which saved us some money, and
Saved us a lot
they
of money.
put it underground, which is great, so we're less likely to lose it.
It just was a slow process,
It's
but it wasn't
slow.
too bad.
Let's go. You guys dug a second well.
Yeah.
So let's go talk about that because that one's the
Yeah.
good one, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this is your awesome well. It looks like you got a nice structure for it too, or at least started here.
It's underway.
Okay,
Yeah.
tell me about what the background here. Did you guys get it doused again? Same person, different person? What was the story?
We did. So, you know, our first well was no good and didn't provide enough water for the farm. So we knew we were going to have to dig a second well because there's not room here for a pond. And basically it was just like, we're going to have to spend, you know, another $13,000 basically in order to get the water we needed. We were really fortunate that in North Carolina, there's a sort of not very well known cost share program that you can get if you're a farmer whose first well or first pond doesn't meet your irrigation needs. And we were really fortunate to apply for and get that grant. So that was a cost share that went a long way towards digging this well.
And then we wanted to make sure we put it in the right place this time. So a friend of ours knew a like more professional dowser in the mountains, and he comes down this way, and so we hired him to come out and douse the whole property to find the spot where the second well should go. And he spent, you know, a couple of hours out here, and he chose this spot, which just so happens to have been the first choice of our friend, the dowser, who had dowsed in the winter.
So that's like, we've got 3 acres here. These 2 people who both are dowsers and you know, have an ability to find water deep in bedrock underground. They walked the 3 acres and both of them chose this spot without knowing that the other person
And so we
had
were
said
like,
there was
okay,
water
this
here.
is the spot.
So we dug here.
And it was successful.
At 340 feet, we hit over 40 gallons a minute.
Whoa, that's a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot of water.
more water than we need
It's
for
great.
a farm this size.
So we're set now. I mean, we got extremely lucky, and we got some good dowsers in the end who helped find us water.
So what's the takeaway of this? Get 2 independent dowsers? Is that the,
Yeah,
is that the
maybe.
yeah,
takeaway?
maybe. I mean, you never know. I don't know. Some combination of luck and intuition on their
And
part. but-
if you have to dig a well for your water source, be prepared to have to dig more than one. You know, wells are incredibly expensive. Both of these have cost about $13,000 a piece. And so you need to be prepared that you might need to spend $25,000 instead of just $13,000.
we had only
and be
budgeted
ready
for
that.
one. And I think the other thing that
And that was just for the well not getting electricity out here too.
That includes getting electricity
Okay.
to the well,
Okay.
not getting power out to the property.
But yeah, people think about, I think sometimes people don't include the cost of installing the pump and everything.
Right, so that's like, you know, wang bang, start to finish, having water from having nothing.
Yeah.
In this area, in this case, that's about how much it costs.
I think another piece of advice I would give that we didn't fully understand is sort of like, I think that ahead of time, before you start drilling, you should set some like firm limits on like, this is how much money we're gonna spend, and therefore this is how deep we're willing to go. Because in the heat of the moment, when the well driller is like, hey, do you wanna keep going? And you know, it's really hard to make those decisions. So I think we maybe would have not gone as far
Yeah.
with that first well if we had really thought through it ahead of time more.
Yeah.
And then with this one, we decided to put we decided to put a continuous pressure, constant pressure pump on it.
Okay, and the main line coming out here, this is the flat lay hose that
The lay flat.
lay flat, sorry,
Yep.
and this runs out for your irrigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we irrigate the entire farm up this well. We can run we can basically irrigate 7 or 8 sections at a time right now off this well. And we put a 22 gallon a minute pump in here for another many $1,000s. We could have upgraded to a 30 gallon a minute pump and we could do even more, but
We don't need that.
maybe down the line if we find ourselves needing that, we will. But for now, this meets our needs. And the lay flat runs out. Eventually this will be underground, but for now we just got a simple set of it to meet our needs.
All right, awesome.